What's going on, guys and gals? This is Autotech, and today I've got a couple of tips for you for installing some bark busters on your Tiger 800 XCA. It'll probably apply to the XRT and stuff like that, but it'll mainly apply to the 18s and up, maybe the 17s. Okay, so I guess rather than a how-to, because the install was pretty straightforward and it's, you know, you can kind of set them where you want, I figured I'd just show you a couple of tips so that when you're going to install yours, it'll save you some time, maybe make it a little bit easier. But first, why would you want bark busters or a similar style handguard? Well, the thing is your stock handguards are great for protecting you from winds and like road debris and stuff like that, but they don't offer the bike much protection in the event of a fall. Now, I got pretty lucky when I dropped it on that side, broke the fairing and stuff like that. I only really scuffed it, but a real good hit is going to break this, and then it'll end up breaking your levers. Now, they do have relief cuts in them, but what if you don't want to be stuck somewhere with no clutch lever or no front brake lever? So why not? It really wasn't a very expensive thing. Now, the first instinct that came to mind was when I was removing the stock handguards was I was just going to take these brackets right off. So, you know, there was a 10 mil underneath and then just a flathead screwdriver and then just a 4mm Allen at this end. Super easy removal. It took about 45 seconds until I went to put this bolt back in and thread the nut on to tighten my clutch lever, and I noticed now the threads on the bolt aren't long enough. Okay, you could get yourself some like 6mm washers, that sort of thing. I figured just screw it, I'll just put the bracket back on. So I put this side back on, just kind of snug this. If you did remove it, just remember it's only like 30 inch-pounds. If you tighten it too much, you know, you're not going to be able to get a good return out of your clutch lever. Now, this is here, it's noticeable, but it's not that bad. And you've still got plenty of room for clearance, so that's not a big issue. Whatever, you know, I'm not going to lose any sleep about that. The only time someone's gonna notice it is when you got that guy at the meet that's like, you know, going through your bike like top to bottom, and he's like, oh, you know, I noticed that's kind of a lazy install. Typically, the guys who are doing that at a meet are riding like a 2002 BMW or something like that. And they'll also follow it up with, you know, they don't make bikes like they used to anymore, which is silent for, I bought this bike brand new before I got married and had kids, and now I can't get another bike. So I usually disregard what those kinds of guys are saying. So by leaving that bracket on this side, it just made the removal incredibly quick and easy. In order to get that off on that side, you've got a T30 Torx, which you can just get in there with a ratchet, no problem, before this is installed. Take out your 4mm Allen, and it's off. And as you can see on this side, I mean, you got tons of room for clearance and whatnot. The absolute best, like one of the tips I can give you is install your cover onto this backbone before you put the backbone on the bike. Like, yeah, you can get in at those two bolts and then this one over here, but if you install it before you put it on, it's just super easy. You just work with it right here, and then this isn't in your way when you're installing it anyway, so it's not a big deal. I just found that helped, made it real quick. This right side was actually a super straightforward install. The brackets clear the brake lines and all that. I'm thinking that's an 18 thing, because if you've researched this at all on the forums, you're gonna find people talking about like loosening this banjo bolt and like tweaking their line up and stuff like that. But I mean, there is just tons of room with this thing. So I'm thinking they updated that for the 18s. Another thing for the 18s, if you take a quick look at their instructions, is you reuse your stock bar end weight, add their spacer, use their bolt. They don't give you any torque specs, but I just went like typical M6 torque spec on this, so like about that 60 inch-pounds. I went about 120 inch-pounds on this. And then for the handlebar clamps, I just went to 100 inch-pounds, and that was pretty straightforward. Now for the left side, you're gonna come across a lot of forums about guys talking about some major clutch cable interference and how they like just tweaked their controls right down, had to like rotate their bar up and stuff like that. I think Buster's updated their linkages for the 18s because this is just barely touching. Now, if I was someone that wanted to aim my controls downwards for when I'm like standing up, then I'd have to figure something out, like whether I went higher with this, put the cable underneath, which you'd have to go really down. But for me, even when I'm standing with the bars the way that they are, I'm not too terribly concerned with turning the controls down. I've never had too many issues with that. I have thought about just kind of rolling the bars a little bit, which in turn would aim the controls further down. But, you know, then, you know, you start getting into stuff like that, and then it's like now you need the handguards touch higher, which interferes with this more, so it's kind of like a losing situation. So I just deal with it by having this side just ever so slightly lower than that side, and then, you know, everything clears. This is just barely touching. Done. You know, that's about really the only tips I'd have for you, is just kind of assemble this first, leave these on just so that the bolts, you know, still reaches the threads. Or now that you've watched this video, you could go ahead and make sure you've got yourself a couple of 6mm washers so that the install goes super quick. Another nice thing about these is this plastic shell is replaceable. So the advantage to that is when I break this, I just take it off, put a new one on. That's about really all I got for you guys today. I just wanted to show you a couple of quick tricks, tips, which you could have figured out on your own. I'm sure of it. I've got faith in you guys. But if you're new to this, make sure you hit your subscribe button. Not all of my how-tos and stuff like that are this simple. Sometimes we do get into more involved stuff. Once again, thank you for taking the time and watching.